Thank you, Chairwoman Titus, and thank you for being here today. It's very important to acknowledge that outleasing plays a crucial role in sustaining long-term historic building longevity, and it is a critical solution to repairing the physical condition and futures of these buildings for the general public and to the communities where these buildings are located. How many historic buildings does the GSA oversee?
About a quarter of our own portfolio is historic buildings. We've got about 1,600 in federal assets, so it's a little bit over 400, between 400 and 500 historic buildings, ma'am.
400 to 500, very important buildings. In your opinion, how critical is the outleasing process to these historic buildings?
So it's absolutely critical because it allows us to go into these historic buildings and make sure that the current building we're talking about, we had $200 million in investment that was made in bringing that building back up to standard so that it will continue to be a asset of the federal government for years to come. And the revenues we're getting from that allow us to invest in other historic buildings.
Absolutely. We are currently focused on the big outlease projects like the old post office and the old tariff building. While these outleases are important, can you describe some of the other various types of outleases that the GSA oversees?
So our largest category of outleases is parking. Then we have also antennas, which really help us provide rural broadband by having antennas on our roofs. We have credit unions and coffee shops in our buildings. We allow for some filming of television shows and movies that take place. And some buildings, out of the old Customs House in Louisiana, they use it frequently in NCIS LA, I believe. Yes. So all of these are ways that we're continuing to make sure that these buildings are preserved. We have revenue coming in. And frankly, it also mitigates against having vacant space in the federal portfolio.
Absolutely. In your testimony, you mentioned that it is the GSA's goal to update and modernize facilities. Are these GSA facilities on the right track towards completion and ready to promote trade, given the impending signing of the USMCA?
So I think that the two LPOEs I mentioned are on track. We're going to be so we've asked for funding for both Alexandria, or we've received funding in 2 phases for Alexandria Bay and for Calexico. I believe that there's going to be one more request coming on Calexico West. So those are moving forward. I would say, though, that over our entire portfolio, as I mentioned, we've got a $7 billion backlog for repairs and maintenance. And it's led to some, in the chairwoman's district, we had a courthouse that didn't have a working fire alarm for a period of time. Now, we've gotten funding now, and we're addressing that, but just yesterday, a pipe burst there. And so that courthouse is not working again today, and we hope to have it fixed by the close of business today, but these repairs are vitally important.
What is keeping you from doing the repairs if the money's there?
Our appropriations process is such that even though we collect rent, we can't spend the money unless we're authorized or appropriated those funds again by Congress. So we've got about an $8 billion surplus in the Federal Buildings Fund.
It sounds to me like we need to work on that as well. And I will yield back the remaining time to Mr. Pence.